On September 11th, 2001, I was 11 years old, turning 12 in 2 months. I had to do the math when preparing for this, and honestly, I was and am pretty surprised for some reason. 11 has always been my lucky number. I mentioned in my last PechaKucha that November 11th, aka 11/11, is my birthday, and that my research paper for my MAPC degree focused on a game that was released on 11/11/2011 when I was 22. And here I am at the age of 23, reflecting back on age 11 when a pair of twin towers collapsed. I asked myself, what are the odds, and then realized that numbers are themselves human monuments. We use odds to calculate unpredictability because it's dangerous to take risks. We fear failing and dying like those that came before us. We use them to mourn each passing day and year of our lives. Numbers are also memorials because they only exist because of humans. It always irks me when people, like my engineer roommates, say 1 plus 1 will always equal 2, because that's not true. There is no such thing as a 1. You can't point to a 1, only decide that something is one thing, 1 pound, 1 apple, 1 person. It's something humans have decided to agree on for convenience, ignoring the abject of numbers, which is literally incalculable if you look at how numbers have changed the face of the earth. But that's not what this PechaKucha is about, just a random stream of thought that popped up. On September 11th, 2001, I was in middle school, a 7th grader, and I first heard the big news while I was in home ec, which I think was 3rd or 4th period, middle of the day. When I walked into class, someone had turned on the TV, which wasn't normal, and Miss Teague turned it off and started class in no discussion. Logan, a friend of mine, explained to me while we were working on our projects that Iran had attacked America and we were now at war with them. I vaguely knew about Iran from social studies. I know I just recently colored it in on a map they had us fill in of Asia. I remember feeling not scared or worried, but excited, because people were talking about it. And as the day went on, teachers started acting weird. During 6th period afternoon announcements, we held a moment of silence, though I still didn't understand exactly what for. Later I asked my parents if we were at war with Iran, and they said they didn't think so. They were probably still a bit confused and out of the loop since they aren't big news watchers. My excitement mounted as I followed the news footage, although not as closely as most because I was 11 and spent way more time playing video games than worrying about current events. As I began to understand the situation, although still not the nature of the enemy, I felt anger, but it was a righteous anger, a feeling like, how dare someone attack my country? Who do they think they are? America, to me, was the uncontested ruler of the world. If social studies taught me one thing, it was certainly that being American meant you could do anything and that we were always won in all our wars. Social studies was actually American War Chronicles, the class, and we were always the good guys and we always won. I can attribute this attitude partially to my education and partially to my upbringing. My dad's dad was 15 in 1941 when the attack on Pearl Harbor occurred, just slightly older than I was on 9/11. I don't really know how the experience affected him at the time, except through my dad, who has always had an extreme aversion to the Japanese. I got in trouble once in 5th grade for calling them Japs, which is what my dad always called them. When I told him about that, I think he went on a diatribe about Pearl Harbor, stereotyping them as sneaky, devious, evil. I don't remember his exact words, but if I did, I don't think I could repeat them. Sim Tower was a PC game my sister borrowed from a friend and we kept forever. In the game, gameplay involves constructing a tower up from the ground, and occasionally in the game, as part of its random mechanics, a terrorist will attack, and you have the decision whether or not to pay their demanded ransom or to search for the bomb and take the consequences into your own hands. Sometimes the bomb explodes. When that happens, people die, money is lost, and you're forced to rebuild. Now I want to read a passage from a source I cite in my research article, David Trend. The mainstream news and entertainment industries suggest that violence is rampant in the world around us. They warn about the presumed dangers posed by immigrants, teenagers, and the poor. They say that men are more violent than women. Significant in contemporary television, movies, and computer games that feature hyperbot violence to the extent to which it harms strikes outside of suburban America. Violence mostly happens to someone else. It tells audiences, often inaccurately, that brutality and suffering exist in some faraway place, but not at home. Yet contrary to speculation following the events of September 11th, 2001, that a fearful public would avoid movies and television about homeland atrocities, the opposite has occurred. Fed a daily diet of sensationalized news stories and color-coded terrorist attack warnings, the public craving for tales of war and apocalypse has grown, as evidenced by the popularity of recent films like Collateral Damage and The Sum of All Fears. Connection to the 9/11 events can be quite explicit. Currently, a leading computer game among U.S. teenagers is Counter-Strike, in which players choose roles as terrorists or counter-terrorists.